Right then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Storytime Network, in which time shenanigans occur. Isn't that fun? In this week's episode of the Paradox Hour, we're going to be talking about space and time. Mostly time, but space and time are basically the same thing, depending on who you ask. So, it's one of those things. More specifically, we're
several times.
Yes, more specifically, we're going to be talking about time travel tropes and just all sorts of time fudgery and related shenanigans, as the title suggests.
Oh, all the fun time-related nonsense.
Mm-hmm. So, with us today, we have Mill.
Hello.
Jack.
What's up?
Logstar.
Hello.
And some weird manlet who wandered in off the street.
It's the resident duck.
He's got a knife.
Look out!
And then Little Blue pulled out a knife. Joke for all you.
Don't put any enemy near him.
It's a joke for all you cradle-minded folks out there.
Anyways,
we will have a series about that at some point, by the way.
So yeah. Time travel. Where do we begin? Shall we begin in perhaps the past?
Now let's go to the future.
Oh god, I already can't follow.
Well, no, right now is the future from the perspective of the past, so when we go to the past, we actually have to stay in the present in order to anchor ourselves to the future.
Well, I hope you're happy, Fuzzy, because that just destroyed all of our robot viewers.
I mean...
Oh yeah, we should talk about paradoxes, since that is kind of the...
It's kind of the thing, yeah. That's what the show is named after. But I mean,
good old paradoxes.
I'll get it out of the way. Don't go back in time and become your own grandfather, kids. Not healthy.
Right.
Don't do the nasty and the pasty.
It's like...
To be fair, that actually helped him, because, I think that was the reason why he didn't have that one brainwave those gigantic brains preyed on.
Yeah, but that's going into spoilers for all that Futurama
Yeah, but
stuff.
it would also So, you know what? Since we're already on the topic, why don't we just look into some of the deeper implications of that? Because what does a grandfather paradox or a self-grandfather's DNA look like? Just think about it.
Fucked up.
No, because would it be I don't even know how the DNA would structure itself, because think about it. Your DNA comes from your ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So, half of your DNA comes from your, let's remove the grandfather question and let's just have you be your own father, right? That means half of your DNA is from yourself, but then where did that DNA come from?
That's the nature of the paradox.
Yeah, it's just like, after a certain point, just do you turn into just a lump of cancer cells? What is going on there?
No one knows, dude. No one knows.
That's
why it's a paradox, because it's so hard to figure out how the hell it works.
I mean, some paradoxes are easy enough to figure out.
Well, yeah, but There are also stable time loops, which are a different thing entirely.
Hmm.
So they are similar. So the difference between a stable time loop and a paradox is that a paradox has some element that doesn't really have an origin, or some element that kind of fucks itself over. So like if you go into the past and kill your grandfather before he sires your parents, then you basically prevent yourself from existing, so you can't go back into the past to kill your grandfather.
Oh yeah. No, we're familiar with that, but even more interesting is like in a more abstract sense with information. So we're getting into some information paradoxes. It's a joke for all you I'm trying to you know what? I was trying to quantum physics, okay? Black hole information paradox, that was solved. Great. We're all very happy about that. Yeah, so what happens when you go into the past and provide information like the blueprints of a car, and that is the source of the blueprints? So, like, at that point, what is... Yes?
Well, in that case, you got the blueprints from the future, from when they were widely available, and then you went to the past. So, yeah, where does that information come from?
No, yeah, like, that means no one actually created those blueprints.
Yeah.
Right, those blueprints kind of just exist. So this applies to any sort of abstract information, really.
Yes. Now, on the other hand, a stable time loop would be caused by, like, say, you would travel to the past. Your grandfather tells you the story about how a random stranger gave him a watch for free when he was at his lowest, and that helped inspire him. And then you travel to the past, you see the watch in a store window, you buy it, and in disguise you give it to your grandfather. That's a stable time loop. Whereas
Or like
if you just take the watch, go back in time, and give your grandfather the watch, that's a paradox.
now, stable time loop also refers to when Josuke's signature hairstyle comes from himself saving himself when he was dying of a fever at 4 years old.
I'm pretty sure that Araki dropped that plot line.
He dropped it, but let's be real, that's what was planned.
Yeah.
That's what happened. You can't convince me
JoJo.
otherwise.
We do need to talk about JoJo villains and their time powers.
Zawarudo?
Zawarudo.
I mean, I've always wondered something.
We can postpone that till later.
I will say I've always kind of wondered something. Maybe you guys can illuminate this for me. How exactly does King Crimson work?
Nobody knows. It just does. That's one of the paradoxes. Fucking King Crimson came out of the page and wrote itself just working.
I actually have an understanding of how it works.
Oh no! That's the joke. Is that it's actually how it works is pretty simple to understand, all things considered.
Just very confusing when it's portrayed in the manga, and a lot of the early scans
and
did not explain it well.
It's the scan later problem. But do you know what's funny?
What?
Guess who has the exact, or guess where else that exact power set comes in?
Where?
Dragon Ball Super.
Oh yeah, Hit.
Oh.
Hit's power set is literally King Crimson.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
That's what it is. It's he doesn't actually stop time. He makes it move for everyone except, or he makes it move for only him.
That's kind of a semantic difference.
Well, no. He doesn't stop time. He stops everyone else. Time keeps moving, but everyone else stops moving.
It doesn't hurt that he is also extremely fast.
Yeah, no, so he can do it like on an order of like milliseconds and later seconds. But the fact that Dragon Ball characters can just casually like
They can move it
kick special relativity in the nuts and just move faster than light whenever they feel like it is really what works to his advantage there.
Mm-hmm.
basically. But no,
Here's
all
another
JoJo's
time.
big bads so far, I believe, have time
Not all
related
of them.
powers. Except
Dio
for
in part
Cars.
1 technically doesn't.
Well, no, if
Unless
we
you-
count the character
unless you count him in-
part, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but part 7 is not.
Well, that's timelines, so that still
Oh
counts.
Jesus.
Because, okay, yeah, this is an interesting point. Where do we fall on multiverse theory? Is multiverse time or space?
Yes.
Logstar, you're the resident physics guy. What's your take on this?
Wouldn't it just be like all of it? Is it's all, just one blob anyway, in a certain sense?
I think it's like a space,
Wibbly-wobbly.
general overarching space-time thing.
Yeah, but like that, what does that mean though? How does that work?
Please dumb this down for the one non-science person in the room.
So multiverse theory is the theory that any time you travel back in time, or basically any major decision that happens causes a branch in the timeline.
Yes,
And
I know that much.
so there are basically infinite universes where each different universe is caused by a different decision being made by two people, by a person. So every time you make a decision,
Do you know what's funny though? Yeah, go on, Longstar.
Yeah, I mean, that goes all the way, like even like a quantum measurement where it's like spin up, spin down. It's like, if it's 75-25, well, you're gonna have 75% of the resulting universes taking the one, and 25 taking the other, things like that.
Yeah, when I don't think any of us, except maybe Logstar, are qualified to even touch on the quantum mechanical interpretations of this.
oh god, no.
But like, long story short is, verse is weird.
Oh yeah.
Also, qualified, yeah, my grade in quantum information says otherwise. I should have gotten that book and studied it.
Yeah, but you studied that course, which is more than anyone else in this call.
I was gonna say
C+.
you're more qualified than anyone else in this call.
Yep. By far.
As long as you're
Me,
not
I've
having
only
this-
focused on the past.
But what if
Have you gone back to the Samurai Jack?
Oh, I was going AVGN when you said Back to the Past.
Sorry, that
Unfortunately,
sorry's
no.
an earworm.
Unfortunately, no. I didn't go to the past. I kind of missed that field trip. Heard it was fun.
Oh, so you weren't on the Magic School Bus. That's unfortunate.
Nah, I got on the regular one by accident.
Darn. well, at least you didn't get taken on a tour through someone's intestines.
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, no, it's. I don't know how to explain it. It's just
No. I get like how. I'm just like, what do you think it's like in there? Like if you
Disgusting.
go down to a small. Well, no, because if you go down to a small enough scale, you basically wouldn't be able to tell, right?
This is off
It'd be
topic.
just-
this is very off topic.
Getting back on topic, another time power that let's be real, didn't really make any sense. Show from Fire Force.
Oh god.
Oh, don't get me started on fire. Oh, you do not know what you are bringing into this world.
We are
No.
sticking to just show. Not talking about anything else from Fire Force.
No. He's enough. So, Logstar.
And just to the end of
Context, and
season
this is-
1. Just to the end of season 1, because that's all I'm really caught up on.
So, Logstar, context, And this is gonna make you really mad.
I'm
know
sure
what
it will.
You know what the
Basic premise of Fire Force?
not the basic premise of Fire Force, the basic premise of this dude's power set is his whole thing is apparently he can stop time. So Fire Force is all about pyrokinesis, right?
Oh yeah, I
So
know.
you may be asking,
Every single character with superpowers has some form of fire-based power.
yes.
The one
So
rule.
you may be asking, how the hell does fire allow you to stop time? And basically, it's just vaguely hand waved as so like he just makes things really hot, and the heat kind of makes the universe expand faster locally, so he can kind of just like move faster than anything else because he's expanding with the universe and you're not. It's like it's just this nonsense theory that is at that point it would have been more satisfying to just
don't
say,
explain
yeah,
it.
it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At that
yeah,
point,
I
you
think-
just don't
I think-
explain it.
Let me see if I can remember what it was. I think it's that he draws in the heat from the rest of the universe, which causes it to stop expanding while he keeps expanding. I think that's what it was.
It's very confusing.
And he stays the same size the whole time, right? I'm assuming he stays the
Yes,
same
he
size.
does.
Yeah.
Also, makes me real mad in hindsight. You know why?
Why?
I got Sanderson again. A Fire Force of all things, because Sho just happens to look exactly like the main character of my expanded universe.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. I love telling dumb things like that to experts. Like, this is going off topic a little bit, but does anyone know the series Bones?
Yes.
Seen
I'm
tiny
vaguely
amounts.
familiar.
Well, there is a villain.
I thought we were still on anime. Oh God. Oh
No,
God.
there is
David
a
Boreanaz,
villain
no.
who is there's a villain in Bones, which is a series about a forensic anthropologist and an FBI agent solving crime, because of course. But there is a villain in there that is a computer hacker, and he manages to write a virus onto bone so that when the scientists scan it to get a look at the x-rays and stuff like that, the virus is then implanted in the computer and the system stops working. And when we first watched that, my brother, who is he was going into medicine at the time, he got so angry and just walked out of the room, and it was fucking hilarious. So that's now my hobby, is just finding incredibly dumb things and telling them to experts and watching them get so very mad at them.
By the way, Sho isn't the most egregious example in Fire Force. He's just the one that you know about.
Yes,
Oh, I'm sure.
There's,
I'm absolutely sure.
There's one other character who's even more ridiculous.
Yeah, there's one character who. Well, no. You know what? I actually
Let's
consider
not
that character.
actually go
No.
into
I'm not going to go into any details. I'm just going to say one thing is that I consider that character less egregious for one simple reason. I don't even bother trying to explain it with him. Justified. They're just like, yeah, no, that's just that character's power set. Don't ask too many questions. The fact that Sho can stop time through pyrokinesis is not what angers me. What angers me is that they tried to explain it in a way that seems scientific, but only to anyone.
That the layman will go, huh, yeah, that makes sense.
No, I don't think they will.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I'm just like, oh, I hate time powers. Okay, this is something.
No, you know what's a pretty easy time power to not fuck up? Just changing the rate at which time flows.
You
like Professor Zoom from the comics.
Oh, you sweet summer child. There are so many ways to fudge that up.
I'm not talking about like going backward and forward in time. I'm just saying like slowing down or speeding up time.
Yeah. No. Do you know what? None of those things ever. And we're getting into full nitpick. Let me full disclosure. This podcast is going to be about nitpicking.
Because nitpicking is fun.
Right? We're gonna pick nits. Ugh. You say it like that. Is that
Sounds wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're
I
just
think
gonna.
this podcast is going to be an even split between gushing and nitpicking.
Yeah, so let's talk about the flow of time, localized changes to the flow of time.
Yes.
What do you guys know about redshift?
Very little.
Nothing.
I also know very little about redshift, but long story short is when radiation, i.e. any form of light, enters that enters and exits that localized flow, it's going to get, I believe if you slow things down, it gets redshifted. Logstar?
Well, I mean, yeah, Doppler effect stuff. Really, I'm trying to remember the relativistic Doppler effect stuff because that was sophomore year. But yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean.
I believe it's redshifting. So, what happens when you redshift like that is that essentially you turn visible light into a whole bunch of gamma radiation. And unless you're the infraggable Hulk,
wouldn't that be more
gamma radiation.
Wouldn't that be more the blue shift? Because gamma radiation would be the
Oh no! It goes infrared. It goes infrared. So it goes infrared. So it converts into heat. Basically, unless they're specifically heat resistant, slowing down time the way Dr. Zoom or Professor What's His Face does in the comics would just literally cook him from the inside out.
I think Red Dwarf used. I think.
Yeah, he would literally just be microwaving himself at best, or just melting himself. So yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, localized doesn't exactly make things safer.
Though turning that into its own power, I'm all for that. There are ways to play with that one.
Mm-hmm.
I've theorized a few ways of playing with it as well. For example, nullifying damage by just making it travel through your body very, very slowly. Things like that. Making it travel so slowly that your body just naturally heals through it, even if you don't have a healing factor. Because it's just that slow.
Interesting concept.
But we're not here to talk about my vast extended universe. That's after I managed to publish a book or 3. The thing is, though, this kind of leads me into the time stopping portion of things.
Oh yes.
Here's the thing.
The world.
Yeah. Here's the thing Zavardo does not actually cover. So moving anything, unless you have literally infinite strength, is going to be impossible.
Oh yeah, because everything else is stopped.
Yes. So either you need to...
There has to be a secondary power that lets you move things and stops time. Or...
Even then... No. Even then, if, let's say the simplest version is to have a localized field around you. At that point, it basically makes it impossible to effectively fight with it. Right? Because, like, if anyone who's near you unfreezes, that kind of just takes away your advantage entirely. Also, Dio doesn't have this problem, but you wouldn't be able to breathe. Or, like, see. It has a similar problem as with intangibility, is that if light stops, you can see because of the movement of light of photons
Yep.
in your eyeballs. So if light isn't moving, everything's dark. Or rather, it's not dark, it's just you cannot see except when you move, and when you move, you can only see. So you'd literally just be seeing flashes of light in front of you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see, you wouldn't be able to hear, you wouldn't be able to breathe.
That sounds tricky as hell.
I think you would be able to fight with it. It would just take.
You'd have to have very short bursts.
You would just have to have really good timing, because what you would do is, throw a punch, and just before it connects, that's when you restart time.
I suppose, but that brings us back to the problem of throwing the punch in the first place.
There's a reason a lot of these powers get straight up hand waved.
Yeah, no. Of course, at the end of the day, bisexual time stopping vampire is just it's there for rule of cool. But at the same time,
Yes, I got the pun, Fuzzy.
yes, I'm gonna keep saying it until someone acknowledged it. But it's just one of those things where you're like, you're gonna have to make a decision when you're talking about things like this. It comes back to one of the fundamental issues with writing sci-fi and fantasy, is that you have to make a decision of how hard or soft you want to go, and you need to work
stick with it,
and you have to stick with it. It's possible to make it work if you are a bit inconsistent. It opens you up to the criticism of a-holes like us who will pick your nits until you're bleeding from them.
Well, I mean, doesn't being inconsistent kind of kill suspension of disbelief also? I mean, that kind of hurts that one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, though, to be fair, a lot of people have just way too much suspension of disbelief as it is.
Yeah. And some people have way too little, so you're not going to please everyone, is the point. You're never going to please everyone.
Yeah, but the idea is to at least please some people, and that can be hard if you are too inconsistent. Or even too consistent. Oftentimes, you have to understand that sometimes certain things may be fundamentally certain facets of consistent. Making it entirely consistent may occasionally just be fundamentally incapable with the story that you're trying, incompatible with the story that you're trying to tell.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, let's.
We're talking about JoJo, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna sort of move on to other examples of.
We only really talked about Dio and a bit about King Crimson. Let's talk about Yoshikage Kira and my favorite time trope, the time loop.
You really need to read Mother of Learning, Jack. That is exactly... It literally is a story entirely based on a 1 month long Groundhog Day loop.
See, a lot... Yeah. No, I actually haven't watched Groundhog Day. I really need to do that.
It's definitely...
How well is it aged? Just say that, right?
Not as bad as it could have.
Good.
But not as well as it could have either.
Well, I'll take what I can get. I still will say that the episode of Supernatural where they had the time loop is one of the best of the show.
There was a time... Look, after a certain point...
Mystery Spot. The one where Sam wakes up every morning to Heat of the Moment.
Oh, okay, yep.
Heat of the moment. But yeah, basically, the entire episode is an excuse to have a death montage for Dean. Dean dies in just increasingly ridiculous ways in every iteration of the time loop. And unusually for a Groundhog Day loop, it's Dean's death that resets the time loop instead of the
That is actually
looper.
that is a fun little twist on that isn't generally done.
Yeah, most of the time, a time loop gets reset when the person who is actually experiencing the loop dies. But in the Supernatural episode, it's someone else dying that triggers the reset.
Something something brother something something soul something something homoerotic subtext.
Well, in this case, it was the work of
Yeah, no, I
super
know, but
powerful
like,
being fucking with
yes,
them.
I know, but like, it's Supernatural. We all know what Supernatural is about.
Dean hooking up
I
with an
haven't even-
angel. At least that's what the half the Supernatural fandom will say.
I'm
So on
fairly
the
sure
subject of, yes,
I'm fairly sure the other half is the brothers fucking. Maybe I don't know anything about
Yes,
Supernatural,
it-
so I don't.
it's
a good show for 5 seasons. I haven't watched the rest of it.
on the subject of incest.
Oh boy, are we going to talk about Futurama, please? Please
Are
say
we
that's
gonna
where you're
talk about-
taking
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Mill, take it away.
I mean, Futurama fucks with time quite a few times.
Often, literally.
Yeah. So the first, I think it's the first one in a way, is where, what is it? I think they're going to watch like a supernova or a star going supernova. And then Fry puts metal in the microwave, and the two forms of radiation mix and sends them to Roswell, where Zoidberg is the famous alien and causes chaos. But the fuckery comes in that Fry's grandfather Enos is stationed at the Roswell Army base, and Fry basically does everything in his power to keep Enos alive until he accidentally walks him into the testing site for at least a bomb, and then Fry comforts, in inverted commas, his grandmother, and
So
yeah, that's
it should be stated that Fry did it because he thought that the dude was not his actual grandfather because he still existed after he died, which
yes
is true, but it didn't occur to him that just because it wasn't his grandfather doesn't mean that wasn't still his grandmother.
Yeah,
I mean,
Fry isn't exactly known for his smarts, though.
I mean, the signs were there that the person he thought was his grandfather wasn't really his grandfather anyway, because let's be real, Enos was very, very much a closeted homosexual.
Mm.
In fact, he died looking at a calendar of half-naked men, I believe.
Oh my.
I actually
Yeah.
haven't watched that.
We need
I
to
did
get
watch
that.
another Futurama episode
No,
that
we
dealt
need
with time travel.
We need to get a soundboard, and we need to put that on the soundboard.
Oh yeah.
I need to ask permission first, but we would definitely need that on a soundboard.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, there was another
the
episode of
You mean
the
is
one
the
where they
episode
keep
you mean
resetting the universe.
Oh, the forward, the time machine that can only go into the future.
Yep.
Ah, so we're getting to part 6 of JoJo's now.
Let's not go into that. That hasn't been animated yet. Let's not go into detail about JoJo parts that haven't been animated.
How about this? Hey kids, do you want to talk about Poincare recurrence time?
No.
Yay!
Take it away.
Poincare recurrence!
I have never heard of that term, but I think I know what it is.
I've never heard of it, and I don't know what it is.
Logstar, take it away.
basic idea. Think about like all the quantum states that could possibly exist in the universe, right? All of them.
Yep.
Lots
Okay,
more.
okay,
If you
okay,
have, like,
okay. No, no, no. Let me. I will.
No. One thing. There's only a finite number, so if you go long enough, you're gonna hit the same one twice sometime, which means that one time is gonna be exactly the same as the other one before it.
Right, I think I understand now.
So basically, there will theoretically, if the universe, and this is not something that is just relegated to the realm of sci-fi. This is depending on the most widely accepted model of the heat death of the universe. Based on that, most likely in countless trillions of years, this exact conversation will be occurring with this exact cast.
Yeah.
Like 6 billion, like billions of universes down the line, it is possible that this will repeat exactly. Our universe will repeat exactly, and everything will happen in the exact same way that it's happened
So, like,
for us.
Wheel of Time, except much longer scale.
Wheel of Time, except actually well written. I'm sorry, I had to. You set me up.
Talk about
it.
the Wheel of Time some other time. But
Aha.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
Random Poincare recurrence time. When you see the calculation for the universe, it's kind of fun because you get at the end. There's like, this is the number. The units don't matter at this point. Kind of fun.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's that many seconds, hours, days, or years. It's such a big number that any of those would be incomprehensible.
Yeah, I think it was the one I saw. Like, just like the 10 to the 10 to like stacking exponents. It was like 4 or 5 high of 10s. So think about that one for a second.
So, like, Googleplex.
No, that would just be 10 to the 10 to the 2, and this is like 10 to the 10 to the 10 to the 10, like, so, like 4 or 5 of those, which is kind of cool.
So, Googleplex to the power of Googleplex, basically.
Keep going.
Or something along.
Not quite that big.
To the power of Googleplex.
Nope, keep going.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so math and numbers in general get really big and really weird.
No, that's going beyond the realm of human comprehension at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how when numbers get big enough, it's like infinity makes more sense, because it's like, at least that one we can say it keeps going. It's like, no, this doesn't keep going, but we just can't comprehend where it goes.
Also,
God.
Anyway,
yes, go on.
anyway, so that theory is what Futurama used with its forward time machine.
Yep.
Yep, that is exactly correct.
I love how they
Manly.
have to do it multiple times, too. It's kind of funny.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like you have to do a bunch of different iterations to
Well, because
get
they
it
keep
right.
overshooting their goal.
Well, they only did it. They only got to a third universe, or third run through the universe.
Yeah.
So to be fair, the third universe was something like 6 feet lower than their original universe,
Oh.
which I suppose is a change, and that's how they took care of the paradox, because they just landed on their old selves and killing them. Or
Their new old selves. Or their old new selves. It's confusing.
Their alternate selves.
That might be one of the least confusing ways you can end it, though, so hats off to that.
True.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse.
But yes, because they had to do it again, you get the hilarity of the professor on the first run through history. He stopped it to shoot Hitler out the window. On the second run through, they didn't stop, and he hit Eleanor Roosevelt by mistake.
God, I love Futurama.
Futurama is great, and we are absolutely having a podcast about it at some point.
I need to watch through the whole thing. I have not seen all the episodes, but I need to binge it.
Yeah, viewing party sometime for that one.
Yeah. Speaking of confusing, though, who here has seen Tenet?
I don't think
not.
any of us.
I
Unfortunately.
have. No, it does. It does. So the central conceit of Tenet, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the central thing of Tenet is probably the most unique time mechanic I've ever seen. Where instead of normal time travel, it is, in fact, inversion is what it's called. Basically, using a device from the future, a person can invert their time and they are moving backwards relative to everything else. And this manifests itself in all sorts of crazy ways, like bullet holes turning back into bullets and going backwards into the gun that shot them, and a car flipping over backwards and then going and driving backwards, even though it had been driven forward, but it had been inverted when it was driving forward.
Was this that
This
one by
feels-
Christopher Nolan?
Yes, it
No wonder it's
I-
confusing.
So I have a very important question.
yes. What is it?
What is the BPM of the film?
PM?
BPM.
What does-
Songs per minute.
It has a different soundtrack then. It was not scored by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, but like, it's kind of Chris Nolan's whole thing is the bwongs.
I don't recall any blongs.
That's a shame. Really
Yeah, I've
is.
seen it twice. Do not recall any blongs. But yeah, no, it's the inversion is kind of confusing, but at the same time, like there aren't any real inconsistencies with it. It's very consistent throughout the movie.
Oh, I'm sure there's gonna be. People have already. I'm sure there's like 600 Reddit posts already of.
Oh, I
Reddit
would not be surprised, but at the same
Pointing
time,
out-
like compared to most time travel tropes, it's remarkably hard on the science scale because it's very
Yeah, and it's very interesting when people try to do hard time travel, because hard time travel is one of those things that is inherently kind of difficult to quantify, simply because we really don't have much of a conception of what that would even be like, right? Like a lot of sci-fi, we at least have cursory theories and ideas.
We
So what
know very little about what hypothetical time travel could be. We don't even know if it's possible to travel back in time. It very probably isn't.
Well, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. Never
there are
say
some-
never.
True. Well, like
But it's
paradoxes and all
also
that shit.
I mean, there's also
it's also probably one of those things that you should probably think about the potential implications of creating a
It's
way
definitely
to travel back in time.
So time travel is absolutely one of those things where if it exists, it will be invented, and it's going to be one of those. They were so busy thinking whether they could, they didn't ask themselves if they should.
Exactly.
Good old Ian Malcolm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, could or should. I'm still the fan of the whole branching timelines thing on that one, where it's like, yeah, it's like it's not going to be the case where you really do change anything. You're changing the other timeline. I mean, that's one of them makes most sense. It's really hard to screw that one up, right?
Yeah, that's it's the separate timelines thing.
Dragon
Multiverse
Ball
theory.
Z.
Yeah, that basically does make it so that you can never actually like change
Change
your
your-
present.
You can't change your past.
Yeah,
If you want to change the
you're
past of
changing someone else's
a
past.
different universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, back to Tenet real quick, because fuck, I forgot what I was going to say now. Shit.
I also have a
Dang.
couple of comments on that note, but
But yeah, no. What I was going to say is like It's one of the few things where I've seen like time travel backwards that isn't like instantaneous or like going through the TARDIS void a la Doctor Who, but it's actually moving backwards at the same rate that you would move forward. It's just literally flipping the
You're
direction that you're
rewinding. Yes,
moving.
you're
Yeah,
pressing
you're
rewind.
rewinding effectively. But it's like I'm kind of surprised no one's come up with that before.
It has. It's definitely been done. It's just not been done to that scale.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do is the thing. Like you have to plan out the plot. It's not something that's really sustainable for a longer narrative than a single movie, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that it's one of those things that it makes sense if as long as you don't think about it too hard.
It's also liable to fry your brain if you think about it too hard.
Frying your brain can be good. I mean, there was the movie that I was going to watch for this, then forgot to. I mean, Primer. I mean,
Primer.
You've heard of that one.
Nope.
So Primer
Nope.
is an indie film that was made on like a $7,000 budget that is widely regarded as having the most well thought out hard interpretation of time travel to the past in existence.
But yeah,
Interesting.
one of the things about it is basically it's supposed to be really confusing when you watch it, but people have unfolded like when people go back and forward and how it would influence, and it's supposed to be like airtight. So it's like, yeah, that would have been a good one to see for this one.
Hmm.
There's a flowchart and everything. I'm not kidding. There's literally at least one, possibly multiple different flowcharts required to understand that.
Flowcharts.
I mean, and that's to me that's like the most satisfying kind of sci-fi stuff, time travel stuff where it's like, oh, it works as a story. Haha, it'll be fun to nitpick, and you look and it's like, nope, got it. That's just so satisfying. I mean, come on, talked about like and went to timelines. For some reason, I just think about things like good old Dragon Ball Z, and with the timelines. You know what didn't happen there? I'm just gonna say, and I really like because I hate when this happens. You know what didn't happen there?
What?
You did not have Trunks go out in front of everyone, spread his arms out, put his head up in almost a Jesus sort of pose, say, "My future, I feel my future changing," as he turns somewhat translucent and starts exuding light or something like that. You did not have that. The world was still shit afterward. Ugh. I mean, it's like you.
Funnily enough, Dragon Ball Super actually delved into that plot line.
Wait,
it came back to Trunks' timeline.
Okay, but at least they didn't have the like person taking the Jesus pose, and fading out, right? At least they didn't do that, right? Because I hate that with all my being.
Nah. Yeah, no, it was nothing like that.
Yeah, but they also like made Trunks a Mary Sue in Dragon Ball Super.
You know what is fun though? I kind of want to talk about something else that deals with time travel, aka the one that gangbangs the timeline.
Minkus?
The CW. The CW
Oh no.
Arrowverse.
Oh god.
AKA the one where Barry Allen fucks the timeline on a regular basis.
Wait, what?
To be fair, that's kind of the Flash's whole thing.
But it gets even worse in Legends of Tomorrow, where they just basically disregard all the rules of time travel. It's a fun show, but like, yeah, no, it's been joked that like, if Barry Allen is fucking the timeline, then the Legends are gangbanging the timeline.
It's like, I get it, but after a certain point, it like the CW tends to get to the point where it's just like, okay, I can tell that you're trying to go for rule of cool, but at this point, you're just making things worse.
That honestly works, despite those issues. Is probably Legends because it hasn't been bogged down by melodrama to the degree that Flash and the other shows were.
I'm still kind of just mad that Constantine got axed and then got brought back as a side hustle.
That's fair. That's valid. But no, it's a fun show. It's definitely like, it's definitely in my opinion, it is the best thing to come out of the CW Arrowverse thing. Because it's just like a bunch of goofy idiots fucking around throughout history and the future. And it's kind of fun to watch that, you know? Even if it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes you just gotta turn your brain off. I will confess, though, that I haven't seen the most recent season.
I have complicated feelings on a series like that, but before we get into those complicated feelings, I'd just like to note, as a side note, it is also theoretically possible that if you go through enough universes, like, and this is not in the realm of fiction, it's like in the realm of reality. If you go through enough universes, theoretically there's a universe where this exact conversation is happening in this exact podcast, and everything is the same except we're all giraffes.
Oh, yes. That's always fun.
You clearly got yeeted from the Owl House universe.
Oh, God, I love that show. Too bad there's nothing really time-related on there, so we can't really discuss it.
I mean, we'll have time for it later.
There are going to be so many puns on time.
Will one
What
be funny?
puns?
Will one of them be funny sometime? Just wondering.
I see what you did there.
Good question.
No, I didn't. I did not.
But you did. You've already lost.
What other time travel stuff can we discuss?
How
about Harry Potter's time turners?
Oh, you.
I just really want to shit on Harry Potter, so I'm hoping that we're able to.
I'm always happy to do that. The worst part is that Harry Potter is a stable time loop. That's basically just it's not that unusual. It never actually needed to tangibly deal with the.
Okay, what about Cursed Child?
Damn it, Fuzzy! I have the song stuck in my head. Go on.
Okay. So, full disclosure, I am staying the hell away from Cursed Child, so Mill, please spoil us all, because I don't think any of us wants to know. Or wants to ever
I've not read the book or watched the...
Yeah, but you know more about it than we do.
But I did read the Wikipedia summary. Oh god, I'm gonna have to actually get it up, because I have ignored it for so long, and it reads as such bad fan fiction.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell Fuzzy what song he got stuck in my head. Because you saying it's not unusual got the song It's Not Unusual stuck in my head.
No.
It's not unusual.
No, don't do it. Mercy.
You did it to me, I'm doing it to you.
To be fair,
I'm taking you with me.
I literally only know those 2 words of that song.
3 words. It's not unusual.
Look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants, who can count to 3. Just because
not 2, 3. 3 words. Ha ha ha.
And mock the rest of us, why don't you?
Okay. The core concept of Cursed Child is that a time turner has been built that allows basically one to go into the past and actually change history rather than just create a time loop. And basically what happens is that Harry's son and Malfoy's son.
Which one? Don't they have like 6 each?
The middle child, the one like dropped with the most awful name possible.
Oh, the one named after the incel and the
dick
manipulative cunt. Yes. I mean, if we were going to get monetized on YouTube, that's just wiped that out.
Oh no, you only.
But-
I believe the new algorithm is you only need to avoid it for the first few minutes of the video, so it's fine. We're good.
Anyway, so
Also, you
they
could
go
just
to the.
pretend you're Australian.
He's British. It's fine. It's the same rules.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, they go back into the past with Voldemort's kid. Yeah, Voldemort actually had sex. Have fun with that image.
I mean,
Ah!
I guess it depends on when he did the deed.
He did it post
like,
resurrection, I believe.
Sometime during book 7, I believe.
Oh no! Oh.
With Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yep. Nope. I remember hearing about this.
Anyway,
you know what?
They go back.
May I just make a comment? Considering how uppity he is about that sort of stuff, I would think he of all people would have higher standards than that.
I don't know. This is, as I said, this reads as such horrible fan fiction. Genuinely, I have read
and
so many
Oh,
fan
we're going to be
fiction
discussing fan fiction in a later episode.
The worrying part is.
Anyway, Voldemort has a kid. Those three go back and save Cedric Diggory. And when they come back to the future, or their present, turns out Cedric became a Death Eater and doomed them all.
The hell?
Yeah.
I never did trust that dude. He was always...
He joins the Death Eaters, kills Neville, which means Nagini isn't killed, and that means Voldemort wins.
Wait, no, but there's... I'm gonna have an aneurysm from the sheer amount of things wrong with this.
Genuinely, I mean, pretty much everything after... Well... Before a certain point, everything after the last book just made me angry. But now, just everything after probably Order of the Phoenix, maybe a lot of stuff in Harry Potter makes me angry.
I mean, everything after more or less the first book, really.
The third book was okay. It was okay. It wasn't great, but it was.
We can set up an episode shit talking Harry Potter another time.
There's always time to bash Harry Potter, though.
Fuck off, Fuzzy, with that pun. Intentional or not.
Look.
Anyway.
Sometimes you just gotta take the low-hanging fruit.
Anyway.
There's always time
Cursed Child,
for bad puns.
Cursed Child is very bad fan fiction, and it's just... it just ruins a lot of stuff.
I mean, let's be real here. It didn't really ruin anything that wasn't already ruined.
I mean, talking to someone who never really bothered with Harry Potter to begin with, so
yeah, good for you. I say that with zero sarcasm. Good for you.
Thank you.
Sometimes you're
I appreciate that.
in, though. You're lucky you were never dragged in kicking and screaming though. Trust me.
See, my parents tried to get me to read the first book, and I just wasn't interested. So, yeah, bullet dodged.
Oh, bullet dodging. Let's talk about
The Matrix.
Well, no, because that didn't actually have any time travel. That's kind of the only thing it didn't have, isn't it? Time travel.
Didn't have space travel either. It's just like more cyberpunk, really.
It is. It's almost. It is. Yes, it is absolutely just cyberpunk by definition, I believe.
But was it 2077?
We don't talk about that.
I mean, at the rate it's going, we won't get that until actual 2077.
I mean, I'm fairly sure that's CD Projekt Red's plan.
Those magnificent assholes.
Anyway, what were you going to say
the
about
second,
bullet dodging, Fuzzy?
the latter, yes. The former, no.
I'm joking. I'm making a joke reference.
Okay. So speaking of bullet dodging, let's talk about moving stuff around in stopped time.
Oh yeah.
Like stopping time and then like moving a bullet or something. You know what I'm talking about? The sort of thing I'm talking about?
Yes.
We did talk about this briefly earlier.
Yeah, so this is a more specific example because it's one of those things that actually
Are we talking about the time in the bottle montage? Time in bottle sequence?
wait, what
From
which
Days of Future Past. The one with Quicksilver.
No, I'm talking. Well, Quicksilver is his own beast, but he kind of gets a pass because he's a
speedster.
Yeah, speedsters kind of like get a bit of a pass. But no, I'm talking more. Okay, so this is going to be a very dumb example. Very dumb.
Okay.
The thing that immediately comes to mind is, I believe, the original Tomb Raider movie starring Angelina Jolie.
Oh my god.
I believe I watched that at some point.
Blast from past.
In which Angelina Jolie, first of all, she prevents her love interest's death by going back in time with a magical artifact, or into stopped time, and then so the love interest is killed by a throwing knife, which is in and of itself just ridiculous. So
I
what
mean,
she
yeah,
does
throwing knives are a whole barrel of problematic in the film.
Unless you have super strength, it's not gonna do a lot of damage. Unless you hit
throwing knife,
the face or neck.
Or you've been practicing for like a millennia.
Yeah.
Nicodemus.
Yeah, Nicodemus
same.
is who I was thinking of.
But
so what she does is, first of all, the way she does it is dumb, because it's a regular dagger with a handle, but she specifically grabs it by the blade.
why?
Yeah, that was so she grabs it by the blade and then slowly twists it, and somehow, despite the fact that it had enough force to actually cut her hand open and make her bleed for dramatic effect, it's still, when she twists it 180 degrees, flies with the exact same amount of force into the chest of the person throwing it, as opposed to the love interest, which is just...
She does not have the speedster excuse of being able to alter its momentum.
Yeah.
The speedster excuse works for that, because they are moving at the speed necessary to move that stuff and change its momentum. But she's in stop fucking time. Does not work like
this in terms of in meta terms, surely it would be easier for the writers of the film to instead say, instead of changing the direction of the knife, she just swaps the positions. Why would you not go that route?
Because they wouldn't be able to believe that Angelina Jolie can pick up two heavy men and move them. Or some bullshit like that.
Oh god.
We're talking about studio execs.
Yeah, I know.
That's
that's
their
why
train
I'm...
of thought.
No, I know. That's why...
Dolly.
It's just like... So, how do we feel about the fact that sometimes it feels like writers go out of their way to make it as ridiculous as possible, except it's not a meta decision to, like, it's not an ironic choice. They just legitimately just do that. Why?
Well, a lot of writers are well, in a lot of cases, because they don't really have a choice on the matter because of executive interference.
Well, no, but like, sometimes there's people who do it even in the context of what do you call it? I'm blanking here. In the context of books, right, where they don't have necessary, or like, especially when it's self-published stuff, and that's not even the case.
Well, in that case, I just lay it the idea of either being inexperienced or just a shitty writer.
Or both.
Yeah, or just having no idea what you're doing and deciding to run with it anyways for some idiotic reason.
Or watching the Lara Croft film with Angelina Jolie and going, "Hey, that's a great idea."
You know, I feel like there is one time thing we haven't touched on that's kind of a big TARDIS in the room.
I was eventually going to bring us along to Doctor Who.
I know you were, because this is definitely your thing to talk about.
Who?
Doctor Who.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah, the guy on first.
Oh, who's on first?
Doctor.
Yeah, and given all of that, he's probably on second, third, and everywhere else also.
No, what's on second, and why is on third?
Naturally.
When though?
No, one's up at bat.
Anyway,
All right, I'm lost.
yeah, I mean, I was lost a while ago.
It's a reference to the old "Who's on First" routine.
Don't think I've seen it.
I think it's Abbott and Costello. It's from way back when.
Seems likely.
Yeah, worth watching. Also worth watching the Saturday morning breakfast cereal parody of it.
Okay.
I'll link it in the Discord.
Anyway.
Yes, Mill, you're the local
Doctor
British
Who.
person. Please
Yes.
walk us through this.
I mean, for those who aren't aware, Doctor Who is about a man who is a race of beings called Time Lords, who are quite pretentious and are able to time travel through their TARDISes, which stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space. Which is impressive that I remember that. Because it very rarely comes up. Yeah, and he picks up a human pet, I suppose, and travels through time, either
And space.
sometimes to the past and space. It is as the name implies, it moves through time and space, and so it can go to different planets. It can go to different time periods, and can go to different time periods on different planets. And most of the time, its time travel stuff just sort of gets hand waved.
It's just a big wibbly wobbly ball of timey wimey stuff.
That is basically how everything gets hand waved past the 10th Doctor.
Okay, Fuzzy, I know you're just referencing the trope, but I'm thinking of the episode that line was set in now.
Well, yeah, because that's what the trope is named after.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Weeping Angel specifically, though.
Oh, the Weeping Angels.
Weeping
Angels are fun.
They're horrifying.
I might
they
make
gave me
one
nightmares
of them an
as a
enemy
child.
in a D&D game.
Yeah, no. We could talk about them if you want right now, Mill, or we could just avoid them entirely because they are horrifying.
No, I'd like to talk about them. I love the Weeping Angels. They're so fucking cool. They're terrifying, but they're cool.
Okay. I'm gonna me and Logstar are gonna try and do our breaking your brains thing bit again.
Go on.
Before we talk about this. So, like, we live in space, right? Space is a thing that exists.
Yes.
No. I mean, like, space, like the concept of, not like outer space, like the concept of space, fabric of space.
Yes.
That's the thing that exists, right?
Yes.
So, like, One dimension of space. It's like you got a line, right? You got you move back, you move left or right. In 2 dimensions of space, you move up and down, and in 3 dimensions of space, you move
Forward, backward.
forward backwards. So like you got these dimensions of space, right? And that's we understand how that works. You can like go in one dimension, or you can like go in multiple dimensions of space at once. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. What does it mean to make a left turn in time if you're working on a system of 2-dimensional time?
Pretty sure time is one-dimensional. It's the fourth dimension.
Well, no, time is 1-dimensional, but if time was supposed to be was set 2-dimensional, then what would it mean if you're not just going backwards or forwards in time, you're also turning in time?
I think that would be leaping into a parallel timeline. Then,
No. Because that's adjacent. That's another plane, but it's
Surely you would, if you leave the line of time, so to speak. Surely you would be out of time then.
Would you be? Because you're still on the time plane. You're just like moving in a different direction along your universe in time.
I am way too dumb.
Fuzzy, you're
to be talking
hurting my
about this.
head right now.
Yes, that
Please
was
stop.
the idea.
Please
I'm
stop.
far too dumb to be talking about this.
Let's go
got
back
a
to the
B
Weeping
in my
Angels,
physics
because I at least can
GCSE.
understand those.
No, Weeping Angels are related to this, but Logstar, you have any thoughts on that? On the 2 dimensions of time thing?
You know, I mean,
What do you think? What do you think that would look like as our resident closest thing we have to an expert?
well, I mean, don't we not really know how many? We know we're going on one axis, but we don't know if it's like there are multiple axes doing their things, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, but I'm talking from a perception point of view. Is what do you think it would look like if we could see that?
being able to see that, it's like I'm trying to figure, because I'm trying to think like 2 independent variables of time is kind of like. I mean, it's gonna have. I mean, I'm trying to picture how that. I am trying to picture how that would work, and I can't get past the whole, we're leaving the one line, going to something slightly different perspective on this one. I don't know what people have actually done with that,
Well, for example, it would theoretically mean that you could be on an angle of time. Like you could go, if you were to go diagonally through time as opposed to forward or backwards, then what that would mean is that parts of your past, present, and future would be happening simultaneously across like multiple parts of space.
Well done. You've doubly killed our robot viewers.
I don't know if it. Yeah, I could. I'm trying to figure if I can like squish that in any way or not, just in the name of being a dick. But I kind of.
Can you please stop? Can you please stop? You're hurting my mind.
Look, it's a time episode. We are obligated to have at least a few brain screws, right? Like, give us that much at least.
Yeah, all I can think.
Yeah, I know we're talking about time fuckery and all, but
Man, it's like when people talk about going laterally. All I can think about, I know that there's some calculations. I think it's called a Wick rotation, where it's like you do. I think it's like you try saying time is a complex number, then you rotate it, like do your calculation that way, and then you rotate it back. So that's what I keep going back to.
Did anyone understand a word that he just said? Because I'm too dumb for that.
Oh, fuck no.
Yes, no, this is why Logstar is our resident.
I understood most of the words that made up that sentence. I did not understand the sentence itself.
Just not like the way they were put together. It's like a Finnegan's Wake type thing,
No, nothing else is Finnegan's Wake. No.
Anyway, Weeping Angels. So they're basically statues
Okay.
that can only move when
I'm gonna take it to a place where only your resident fuzzy can.
oh god.
Do you think anyone has ever tried to, with a weeping angel?
Fuck the Weeping Angel? No, they have not.
In an infinite series of timelines, I refuse to believe that someone hasn't tried it.
Someone may have tried, they will have been sent to the past like the Weeping Angels do.
Yeah, but
Explain
like,
Fuzzy, please
Yeah.
stop preventing Mill from explaining the Weeping Angels.
okay, yes, please do that, and then we can talk about banging them.
No, please, no. Let's not and say we did.
Anyway, Weeping Angels are statues that can only move when they are being unobserved. Now,
Schrodinger's
the really cool thing about it is certainly in their first couple of appearances, that included the audience. So they never actually moved on screen.
Which
They
has all sorts of terrifying implications.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll
the
never
fucking
look at
first
statues the
episode.
same way.
Yeah, the first episode played into that massively because it started showing just pictures of statues around London that make you think, oh dear God, no. Please, no. I don't want to be scared of statues forever. And basically what they do is they send you to the past. You die, sometime after that, and they basically steal I think it's the time energy from the days that you lost as a result and feed on that. I think that's what it was. I did watch the episode a couple of weeks ago, but it's still a little complicated to me. And so they're basically called the kindest serial killers in the universe because you still get to live your life, but you do it,
In the past.
60, 70, 80 years in the past.
But like, if you can catch them in motion, they freeze, right?
Yes. If you observe the angel, they stop. They cannot
Which,
move.
again, just begs the question, how many people do you think has set up a system whereby they freeze it mid-act and then,
No, because they don't reproduce like that.
Since when has that
As far
ever
as I
stopped
know.
anyone? Since when has that ever stopped anyone?
You would literally be fucking a statue.
I don't
We're
see
into
how.
that.
Yeah, I don't see how you've changed anything with that sentence.
There would be no insertion. You would just be rubbing your genitals against stone.
Still,
Hey now, we don't need to get vulgar here. Yes, I was turning it around on you.
Yes, and I don't appreciate it. Anyway,
But
I don't appreciate this whole line of questioning, really, because it's dumb. Save it for the horny episode.
Oh God.
oh yeah, I forgot we were gonna have that.
I might not be on that. You'll have to deal with him, Jack.
Mill, please help me with that. I don't want to do that alone.
Oh please, I am absolutely going to be scheduling it so that you have no choice but to attend.
You can't force me to show up.
I
He'll
can't, but I
find a
can.
way to.
I may not be able to force you, but I can certainly incentivize.
We will see. It will have to be a lot of incentives. Anyway, so, and the other thing that comes into Doctor Who is the idea of fixed points in time, which I believe, are created when a time traveler witnesses an event. I'm really not.
So
sure
fixed
about
points
that.
in time are one of the things I kind of like the least about
Oh,
Doctor Who.
I'm absolutely. It's a confusing thing that is basically there just to create stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like
Because otherwise,
the eruption of Pompeii. That's a fixed point in time,
yes.
for example.
Yes, it's where Peter Capaldi met himself, but
Mm.
when he wasn't Peter Capaldi.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Only
and Amelia Pond met,
forgot about that.
met the Doctor.
Yeah, Peter Capaldi played a character who wasn't the Doctor before he got cast as the Doctor later on.
To be fair, that is explained during Capaldi's run that the
I-
Doctor actually
I-
picked that face on purpose. What's not explained is the fact that Karen Gillian is also in that episode.
Look, don't
Fuck.
think about it too hard.
She is one of the creepy soothsayers, and actually has lines, so they can't just like get away with saying she wasn't actually there. She does talk, and is shown on screen multiple times.
I mean, in fairness, what if reincarnation is a thing? There's all sorts of mystical mumbo jumbo happening in Doctor Who. Don't deny
That's
it.
fair. That's fair.
But
still,
also, I still
it's funny to watch that episode and go, you know, that ginger soothsayer and that the head of that family, they were really good actors. I wonder what else they're in.
I will say, like I had of my regrets regarding Doctor Who, I think my biggest one is Peter Capaldi. I think he's probably the best Doctor with the worst run. If you know what I'm saying, like he's
he's an absolutely fantastic actor, and he makes like the best he can of the writing he gets, and as do his companions. To be fair, like
Capaldi himself is an excellent actor.
And he gives one of my favorite speeches in all of Doctor Who.
Sorry. I'm just. You guys keep going. I have to take a phone call.
That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah.
So fixed points are very confusing to actually. Like, I'm not sure how a fixed point is created. Is
yeah.
As I said, I think it's something along the lines of a time traveler witnessing it. I'm really not sure. Because I mean, as I said, something like Pompeii is a fixed point. Going to the 11th Doctor, where fixed points really became a thing.
I think the 10th Doctor only had it a couple times. The Pompeii episode, I know, was one of them.
Oh, and fucking Water of Mars, that was the other one. Where he did actually...
Wow.
Where he did actually try and change it, and it...
didn't work, yeah.
Yeah. Only because of the leader of that expedition, making sure that she died so that time would keep going. Otherwise, we would have had another situation like with the 11th, where time stops. Time just sort of dies.
See, I did not watch past the 10th Doctor, or I haven't yet.
So in 11's run, there are two. There's one major and one minor that I can recall. Sort of minor. The minor one is spoilers. When Amy and Rory, his first two companions, basically leave, in that they get caught by the Weeping Angels, and they see Rory die, and that apparently creates it as a fixed point. And so when Amy decides that she wants to join Rory in the past, and therefore gets herself zapped by an angel, the Doctor can't go and sort of see them. Go
My
back
favorite
and
episode
save them.
by an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
So
is
that's-
absolute like nonsense because it's like
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense.
it makes
It's just-
no sense within the established mechanics of the series. Yes.
Fixed points
No.
are confusing. This said,
Doctor Who
it
plays
always
fast and loose with its own rules, let alone the
does.
standard rules.
But the main example is that in 11's second series, he is killed in inverted commas, creating and that is supposedly a fixed point. And when that fixed point is altered by River's song, time stops at, I think it was something like 5:02 on April the somethingeth, and time bleeds through. So you've got fucking Winston Churchill as the Holy Roman Emperor or something like that, and is friends with Cleopatra and talking about iPods and shit like that.
I mean, I could see it happening.
I mean, it's a very fun thought, and it's one that should be explored by a writer somehow. But
What was a fun episode was the one way back during the Ninth Doctor's run where Rose decided to save
that
someone
one
from dying, and then the Reapers came in. Wong.
I just Doctor Who is
because here's the thing: they changed the past multiple times, and the Reapers never show up again. So I think the implication is the fact that there were two like Doctors and Roses there. I think that was the issue. I think.
I don't fucking know, man.
I really don't. They don't explain it because they know that as soon as they know A, that they can't, and B, that the minute they start trying is the minute they start losing viewers because people don't want it to be explained for the most part.
If you find a ridiculous enough yet slightly compelling way to do it, I bet you could. You just have to be the right kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it is just described as wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also
on the other end of the scale, we have Avengers, the MCU's take on time travel, which is much yeah.
Mr.
No,
Stark, I don't feel good.
And it actually has a pretty strong set of time travel rules that it doesn't really break.
Absolutely wasted Mads Mikkelsen, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. But I'm talking about Avengers Endgame specifically. Because it's
absolutely
only that movie.
Wasted Mads Mikkelsen, though.
It was. You don't need to repeat yourself.
Yeah, that was the joke.
I know. But yeah, Doctor Strange, and to a lesser extent, Infinity War, and then Endgame, especially, use a lot of time doohickeys. Mostly, at least in Infinity War and Doctor Strange, it revolved around the Time Stone, which is a MacGuffin that facilitates the manipulation of time. So, in Doctor Strange, it's primarily used at the climax of the movie, after having been set up as a Chekhov's gun, to basically undo all the damage that the big bads had done to a city in I think it was it Shanghai or Beijing? I forget. Anyways, it basically is used to undo all that damage and then to defeat the big bad by trapping him in a time loop until he agreed to go away.
So I will note that also facilitates what is possibly one of the single dumbest heel turns in film history.
Oh yeah, Mordo. Just like
of all of the things to be like, magic bad must control all magic. It's the saving of countless innocent lives that does it.
But Fuzzy, he used time manipulation to do it. That's bad.
This actually touches on one of my problems with both the Wheel of Time and to a certain extent recently the Stormlight Archive. Is I hate any fictional culture or set of rules in which the characters stubbornly refuse to even entertain the idea of context.
Oh yeah, no.
I.e., every single society and organization and civilization in the Wheel of Time. Literally all of them think they know best and refuse to
They don't.
see
They don't
otherwise.
listen when someone says it makes sense in context, and the context can justify this.
Well, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, kind of what people do already, right? If you're going for that, you've basically nailed it. If you're going for real human behavior, you got it right there.
Not wrong, but it's still no less frustrating. But anyways,
You read
back
to escape that shit.
Yes, exactly.
Anyways, back to the MCU. The Time Stone gets used again in Infinity War, though Doctor Strange actually doesn't really use it that much. It actually gets used more by Thanos, I think.
Really? I mean, I feel like there were so many ways to just like a lot of the reason Infinity War and Endgame happened was because characters just passed around the idiot ball like it was going out of style.
No,
in hindsight.
At
In
least
the
some of the
moment,
decisions made sense from a character perspective, because characters being stubborn is kind of a thing that
Yeah, but,
happens a
like,
lot.
Doctor Strange literally had the power of the freedom to manipulate the entirety of time at his disposal, and he used it for exactly nothing.
The problem is, like, Thanos had 4 other Infinity Stones at that point, and we don't really know how they would match against each other is the problem.
You
I
could
have
just
no idea what you're talking about.
wait. Have you
not watched either of them?
Watched like maybe 2-3 movies in the MCU.
Oh wow! Do you mind the
It
spoilers?
kind of missed it. Oh, I don't care. I'm not watching it. I don't have the time for that.
Okay. But yeah, no, the time travel at Endgame.
Wait. Can we make a deal here?
What?
What if Mill watched the MCU, and if he did that, Jack would read Cradle?
I was already planning to read Cradle, but okay.
Mill,
If
take
you're
one for
already
the team.
planning to do it, I don't agree.
But
you
like,
guys
what
have
if we
pestered me enough that I've reconsidered several times.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to get around.
I will definitively read Cradle if Mill watches the MCU.
Oh,
All of it.
Mill, please take one for the team.
Okay, you know what? I'll be fair here, and I'll just say all the movies, and you don't have to watch them all in one go. Just watch them phase by phase.
Like, that's still a lot of time, and my attention span
Okay.
is bad with movies.
We'll discuss this after the stream.
I
But
also have to have
proposals for Jack.
access to the movies. Like,
Most of them are on Disney Plus.
Don't you have Disney Plus? That's where you were watching The
have
Owl House,
Disney-
isn't it?
Disney Plus now. Damn it! I knew I should have just unsubscribed immediately after finishing The Owl House.
Walk right
Too
into that
late.
one.
Let me
Yeah,
check.
To explain the time travel in Endgame, at least, it's basically like
Timelines. It's very straightforward, really. It's timelines.
timelines, basically. You can't change your own past. Basically, going back to the past, you just leap into a different universe instead.
So here's the thing that bugs me about that. They established that, and then at the end of the movie, they broke it.
Oh yeah, Cap.
Yeah. Let's not get too deep into it, but yes,
There
they
are
established it,
differing
and then
explanations with that too. Was the weird thing.
Huh?
Like the creator, the writers, and the directors each have a different explanation for it.
Yeah, so basically they have no idea what they did. It was a great moment. Don't get me wrong. Like
No, the
it,
Cap
it,
passing the shield on to Sam was
it,
great.
it fit narratively speaking. It like no one actually like they did it for the narrative. I guess that's an example of the idea of doing it for the narrative while not necessarily
Yeah, it was slightly inconsistent with the narrative rules, but it worked for the narrative plot line and the narrative weight. That it was
sacrificing the consistency for the plot.
Yeah, for the plot and the feels. Because that was an actual good emotional moment.
I
But
mean, something America bad.
Shut up. Let me have my feels, damn it. Let me have my feels. Captain America is one of my favorite characters, okay? Leave me alone.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have been born in America then.
Aha.
Have you ever considered that little daisy chain?
Sure, let me just go back in time and tell my parents to move to another country before giving birth to me.
I mean,
The best use of time travel.
Anyways, the fact remains that for the most of the movie, the time nonsense in Endgame is very consistent, with the exception of the final scene. Like it makes some hard rules for itself and it sticks with it, which is good. There's no.
It's certainly an improvement over the most of the competition.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I just realized. We haven't talked about probably the most famous time travel movie. Back to the Future.
I was gonna like lead into it with like a reference, but okay, fine.
No, give the reference. Give the reference. We'll pretend that was just said was never said.
I'm sorry.
No, it's but like it's fine, but like the idea is so Back to the Future has a very interesting history associated with it. For example, Michael J. Fox was not the original lead, and it was originally called Back to the Present. Or something. It was called something very dumb.
I was going to say, it doesn't have that sort of pithy quality to it that Back to the Future does it?
Yeah.
Also, there was going to be like the Doc was going to be considerably less sympathetic, and there was going to be like this whole. I would recommend you look into the original draft version of.
I have a little bit, and it is interesting. I haven't like a massive amount, but it is definitely interesting. So I would recommend it as well.
But
Back to the Future is just a really fun movie.
It's a really fun movie that does not in any way attempt to like make sense, and that's okay.
Hell no.
This is one of those things that it leads into the broader discussion of when do you make sense and when do you not make sense. And Back to the Future is an example of where if it had been hard, it would have been much worse.
It's a great one of those movies that's a great argument for the value of soft sci-fi.
And soft fiction in general, right? Like
yeah. Soft sci-fi and soft fantasy, basically.
Yeah, so in the same way that Lord of the Rings is kind of the codifier of soft fantasy. Well, actually, it's the codifier of fantasy in general, but like specifically,
most modern fantasy owes its
Lord of the Rings is very distinctively soft, and I'm not just talking about Hobbit feet. But the thing about Back to the Future is that it does things that make absolutely no sense, but which are used effectively to add tension and stakes. For example, the whole people slowly fading out of the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense for it to be a process that happens slowly.
It should make sense, but it still works in order to convey narrative tension.
Yes, and that's the thing, is that we may gush about it, we may nitpick, because there's always going to be a-holes like us who nitpick everything.
There's
That's
always flaws in literally every form of fiction. There is no perfect work of fiction.
oh, it's clearly someone hasn't read Cradle.
I was thinking of
Fuzzy,
something.
if you say that, I'm going to nitpick it now.
It's good. Do you have any idea? I am literally the guy who nitpicks things the more I like them. Feel free. You're in good company. But anyway, the thing I was trying to say is that there's always going to be those people. There's always going to be those issues. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's about telling a satisfying story, even when that does not necessarily have the story's mechanics make sense. It's something that a lot of writers often forget, I think. There are far too many. I think Sanderson suffers from this on occasion as well. Is that sometimes people like Sanderson, especially, who prides himself on his highly internally consistent magic systems, get so stuck in the details that he can.
The narrative suffers as a result.
The narrative suffers for it, exactly. And that's, I think, because let's be real, once the book has been published, even if you're not happy with it, it's not like you can go back in time and fix it.
Yeah.
And with
no
that,
retcon in that shit.
And with that, thank you. It's about the end of the. It's about 9, so I think we are going to be wrapping up at the moment.
Bit shorter episode than usual, but
I think we covered everything.
We've covered, I think, what we set out to cover. So thank
covered
you
more or less
to
everything.
my co-host for being here. Thank you to the audience, which I'd like to take this point, and perhaps I'll open the next episode with this as well. But we have noticed that there are people watching the VODs. So,
Hello,
like
people watching the VODs.
hi.
Hello. Hopefully you've watched all the way through to the end. I would like to, if you make a request. If you do not mind, please give the channel, and I know this is going to sound very YouTuber of me, which I do to an extent which I could avoid, but if you could possibly give our channel a follow on Twitch or a subscription on YouTube, depending on where you're watching this, we would appreciate it a great deal, especially since we're getting pretty close to hitting affiliate, which would help us actually dream of maybe doing this in a professional capacity. Not even close to it yet, but it would be a great morale boost for us if you would just be willing to just hit the follow button and
It'd
help
be
us on our
greatly
road to
appreciated.
affiliate. We would appreciate it a great deal. But with that, thank you for joining us.
I mean, the other
Yes,
thing to
Mel?
point out is that we are going to start doing stuff on this channel that isn't just the Paradox
Podcast,
Hour.
yes.
We are, Fuzzy and Logstar have a playthrough of Doki Doki Literature Club planned.
Yeah.
And there's
I'm the
also
blind one.
tentative plans for Mill and Fuzzy to play through the Mass Effect trilogy.
For anyone that actually cares about, well, sports in general, but also football/soccer, I'm planning on playing the new Football Manager game when it comes out on the channel. So,
And I am considering doing a few Let's Plays of visual novels.
Basically, we have things planned, and we would love it if you would be willing to join us and hopefully help us eventually do more of it than we're able to at the moment.
All right. Well, with that all said, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, we will. Thank you for tuning in. This has been your hosts. If everyone will just say their goodbyes, we will be logging off.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye,
Goodbye.
and thank you.
goodbye from the future or the past. Ow.
That
Sorry.
did hurt.